Welcome to Wide Eyes, a podcast made to uplift and educate others about the Asian American community. My name is Anu.
I'm Katie. And this is new. For this month's topic, we'll be sharing with you the career paths each of us are planning to pursue and some tips on discovering your career options. So, going straight into it, there are some important things to consider, such as your strengths, passion, and talents. So, for example, if you're not good at math, don't go into accounting.
Yeah, just to add on to that a little bit, you could be maybe you like math a lot, right? And so you can be very good at math, but if you have no passion for accounting, right? Then why are you going to pursue a degree in accounting or like a career in accounting, right? If it's not going to make you happy. You're very good at math, but maybe you're very talented in making, I don't know, blankets, right? And so if you have maybe if you have a talent in making blankets and you're very passionate, let's say about the outdoors, right? Maybe you can start um a whole brand or business around creating blankets for people who travel outdoor, and you can put your strengths in math into starting your business. It doesn't necessarily just have to be like, okay, you know what, I'm very strong, for the sake of this example again, at math, right? I'm very strong, I understand it, it clicks, right? That doesn't mean you have to limit your career options to just solely base your whole life in a world that deals with math, or maybe engineering. I think they use also a lot of math. I'm not too sure, but I don't. Yeah, but if that makes sense, like, you don't have to limit yourself to one possibility. And so really take the opportunity to kind of just reevaluate yourself. And if you feel like, I'm not too sure about, what I'm passionate about or what I'm good at, I think sometimes your friends and your family know you a little bit more because they kind of see the external, I guess, or maybe like the hidden gems that you don't see in yourself, because sometimes you are yourself's worst critic, right? So you constantly are thinking about like, oh, I'm not good at this, when really in actuality you might be, because your friends and family see something special in you that you don't see in yourself.
So going back to what Anu mentioned about like considering what you're good at and things that you're passionate about, like I totally agree with that. Just because I am a peer mentor right now and I work with first and second year students, and what I tell all my students are to really explore your options. Although you came in with a certain major in mind, I mean, you have 4 years in college, and along the lines you may experience things that it kind of push you to change your major, and it's totally fine. So I recommend everyone and all my students to just really, I encourage them to explore the options, because there's so many majors and careers out there, and it's totally fine to change. You just really, I told them all the time, you just, if you know that you're good at something, or if you're really good at it but then you're not passionate what you do, right, you have that sense of awareness, and then you have to accept it and move on from it, and just really take it a grain of salt. And with that being said, I recommend, everyone to do their research on the major they're in, or even if you're not in school, right, or just any career field that you're interested, what you want to do, really take the time to do your research. What I did wrong was I didn't do my own research. I really just picked a field because I had this whole fantasy of how it was going to turn out. Like, see, I came in as a psych major. I'm still a psych major, but I thought that I was going to be diagnosing people and whatnot, all those stuff. And I thought I was going to find a serial killer. I was living my own world. But then in reality, when I got into my field, I realized that, man, it's completely different from what I want to do. And I kind of shift in where I want to go. So I do recommend all students to, and anyone, to just do their research and really test it out. Cause I definitely tested out when I started taking like courses that are related to my field. I realized that, oh, wow, like, I don't want to do research for the rest of my life, or I like kids, but I don't want to like interact with kids, just because I love kids, but then it's not something that I see myself doing from 10 years from now. So really just do your own research and test it out. And what I like to add on to what both Katie and Anu mentioned is with the concept of evaluating yourself, or and some of the questions that we have down is just to simply ask yourself, like, what are you good at? Or what do people tell you that you're good at? And another one that we thought of as well is what's holding you back? And if there's something that you're trying to pursue or work towards, what is the obstacles or just challenges that
are coming your way, or like what is it that's holding you back, and just evaluate and dissect into those things, and then try to slowly work it out and figure it out of what's holding you back and work towards it.
Yeah, so kind of adding a little bit to what you said, like the question of what's holding you back, right? For I feel like as Asian Americans, we for the most part, I feel like a lot of us are very artistic and creative. And so I okay, I was not artistic, but a lot of my friends, they just look at something and they can draw it like it was freaking printed from like straight off, right? And so and their penmanship, oh my goodness, I'm so jealous with people who can do calligraphy, but I practice calligraphy. Obviously practicing makes perfect, but like I practice like I do put in like hours and hours. I'm still not that good. But some people they just like, oh, and they com- completely it comes to them, right? And so I think we as Asian Americans, we obviously have the model minority myth of you have to do that, you succeed in like a STEM field, or you have to get a 9 to 5 job because that's what society deems successful for us, right? Or maybe you have parents who are a little more on like the tiger parents, right? And they want you to pursue that stereotypical like doctor, lawyer, judge. I think a judge is one of them. But it's you. And so with all of this pressure and societal norms, what they put on you, right? And so not only from your parents but from society in general, right? So for I feel like for a lot of us, we're scared to reach out and pursue our passion, right? And so I know for me personally, like I was a theater kid. I love theater, and so I really wanted to go to school and do something in theater, right? And so whether it be acting or like I also love production and stuff like that and directing, but I personally never took the opportunity to explore my passion. And I don't regret it, but like I think I would have grown a lot more had I, taken that opportunity to just try it out, right? And so I feel like for a lot of us who are interested in being a stand-up comedian or going and acting and stuff like that, right? We don't take that first step because we're scared, right? And so I think it would have been very beneficial for me to kind of reevaluate and like what is holding me back. I think right now too, right? Because I still have that dream of, being on the big screen one day. And so kind of reevaluating like what is holding me back in you? Why aren't you trying your first stand-up, right? Or why aren't you trying your first acting class just for the heck of it? Portrayed in the light that we are, right? But I think right now with like Shang-Chi coming out, Raya, we definitely have the representation that we need. And so definitely for the younger ones who are interested in a career path that is not traditional in the sense, definitely check it out. Because if your excuse now is because like, oh, I don't have Hollywood isn't portraying me in the way that they should be, like, there's no excuses now because we have those role models. And so I would highly encourage you all to kind of really reevaluate yourself, do some soul searching, but just think about it and like what really is holding you back from pursuing what you actually truly love to do.
To answer what Anu say, like I'm like just picturing myself as the audience while she's saying that, right? So for me, I am actually graduating next year, but then you see, I wanted to extend for another year. So I realized that what's holding me back because I can literally finish next year. Like there's really nothing holding me back, but for some reason, I want to continue my education and still stay in college. And then that's when I realized like it's because I'm afraid of the real world. Like I'm afraid to really like graduate and get out there and really putting my foot out the door, especially, being Asian American, being a woman of color, right? So I'm scared to really just getting out there. Like I know what I want to do. Like I know where I want to like who I want to become, where I'm going to be at and all that sort of stuff. But then I keep on telling myself like, no, let's just extend another year. I need that another year. But then I realized like, why would I stay another year when like I literally had nothing else to take? Like I'm done with all my courses. So really it's just that fear. Like I have that fear of really getting out there. But, as time goes, I start to really just have the confidence and really just and also doing this podcast and talking with Anu just really validate, who I am and what I want to do. So, as you see, things, I feel like a lot of people have different things that hold them back, but you just gotta really, it takes time and you'll figure out.
Another thing that I want to add on to what Anu and Katie mentioned, well, both of them really like inspire and encourage me in lots of different ways. And from what Katie mentioned of that fear, it's also something that I'm pretty sure a lot of people can resonate with. And it's something that I too also resonate with. It's just that fear of like not knowing what the future holds, is like you know what you want to do, but then of what's holding you back is just that fear. And I love how Katie mentioned about, just over time adapting into the different environment you're in and building up your confidence. It takes time, it takes practice, and it's something that eventually many of us will be able to overcome and do. And I just really enjoy having this conversation. Like both of you guys, oh my God, are like, I'm getting like emotional. But yes, you guys are like motivating me too along the way with like, because each of us are all going in our own individual journey. I really appreciate like everything that we've like, how far we've come. And I can't wait for the opportunities that's going to come in the future for us.
Low-key teardrop rolling down my eyes. But yeah, so just kind of going off of what you said, like growth, right? I feel like for a lot of us, so kind of what you said about growth, right? And so I feel like one of the best ways to really learn a lot more about yourself and truly if you like or dislike something is like your first work experience, right? There's a lot of horror stories and there's also a lot of like, oh my gosh, this is definitely meant for me, right? So just Hugh and Katie, um, how what was your first experience like and or what was your first work experience like and did it influence you in either like solidifying like, oh, this is what I was meant to do, or if this was like if that experience was like, oh no, we got to do a complete 180, girl.
Yeah, so as for me, I want to talk about two work experiences that I received. The first one was being in like my senior high school. Me and New, we both did it. It was a teachers academy where we taught like K through sixth grade elementary students, right? We were put in a different like subject area where we taught them. So I was put in the Hmong category where I was teaching Hmong students how to speak Hmong, write Hmong, all that sort of stuff. And then I taught third to fourth graders. And that's when I realized, oh no, I can't be working with kids. Nothing bad about kids or anything. Like I love kids. I have younger siblings as well too. So like there's nothing wrong with people who want to help kids. But then I realized that that wasn't the field that I want to go into. Especially, it was very exhausting for me, like especially just you're there like 8 to like 5 and you're really teaching them. So you're talking and there's some kids who are yelling and you have to hold them back and there's just a lot going on. And I realized that, oh no, like this is not the field I want to go into. Like I don't want to go into teaching, especially, there's that myth or was sort of like that conception where they always say that, oh, our parents say, oh, become a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, and do that kind of sort of stuff. And I try kind of following that path, like because I did want to become a teacher in the beginning, but then after experiencing that whole internship, I realized that, oh, that's not for me and I can't handle kids. It's just I like kids, but see, I'm good at helping, right? It's just go back to what we talked about. Being good at something is different from being passionate to something. So I'm good at helping kids, but then is that what I'm passionate about? Or can I see myself doing that from 10 years from now? No. So, and like talking about my second work experience, as of right now, I am, like I mentioned earlier, a peer mentor and I talk to first and second year students. And really, I'm just there to listen to them and talk to them and give them the advice that they need. One thing I realized about the job I'm doing is that you're stuck in the office all day. Like for me, I work 3 hours a day. It doesn't seem a lot, but then if you do have to meet with students like back to back, like today I have like 5 meetings back to back. I didn't have no break. And you're constantly talking, you're constantly listening, which see, I'm good at doing that, but I don't see myself staying in the office for that long and just talking. It's really rewarding to help students who are like you and you're giving back to your community. But then at the same time, if you're not passionate in what you're doing, then it's, you shouldn't be there. How about you, New?
For me, my first work experience definitely influenced my career path. And this was started back in high school. Well, the high school I went to, it revolved around entrepreneurship. And I had the opportunity to intern for an outside smaller business company that focused on marketing. and my role was a project manager. So I had the opportunity to work alongside a team of videographers, marketers, web developers, and we were tasked to develop landing pages, websites, and social media campaigns for our clients. And through that experience, I got more insights into developing a business and also to understand the external and internal activities that revolves around managing a business. So that really did like I got like a behind the scene work experience of how to start a business. So that is what leads me into trying to discover my own entrepreneurial journey that I am pursuing. And then my job that I'm currently doing right now, it is pretty interesting in what I do at the job that I'm doing at my school. I get to work alongside with other fellow college students and also attend events and activities. And I also enjoy that as well. It's just seeing students get connected, being involved on campus, and just have that place of belonging and seeing the growth of students, coming in as freshmen or transfer students, seeing them involved just really makes me happy in a sense, is that knowing that, they are enjoying these activities that we put out for students, and also being that person of being able to provide resources and information to students whenever they're in need of resources on campus. What about you, Anu?
Yeah, so my experience was a little similar like Katie's, but I think my real first work experience that affected me in like making me realize like, oh, this is not for me, right? And so I feel like I've been talking about this like these past few episodes, so I'll say it again because we're talking about career and our pathways, right? So, but for me, I thought I knew that I wanted to become a doctor, right? It was that science, the how the body works and stuff like that. It's always amazing. I think science is so cool, and so you mix that in with I have a very big passion to help people, right? And so I was like, okay, what science is cool and I love helping people, and what job pays really well too, right? And so that was you do all three of those, you put them together and boom, right? A doctor, at least for me, right? And it definitely helps that it was a career pathway that was I knew it was going to already be approved by my parents, because at that time, even now still, my parents and their opinions definitely mean a lot to me. And so I definitely take into consideration like how my actions are going to affect them, or not affect them, but how they're going to perceive my actions. And so I feel like for many, like it's great that you're able to, be yourself, but for me it's just that's how I grew up. And so I definitely take into consideration, what would my parents think too. Just going back a little bit, so I was like, okay, I hit all four and let's become a doctor, right? And so my whole undergrad, not my whole undergrad, like my first half of my undergrad, it was all that I could see was that I was going to do everything in my power to become a doctor, right? So all the volunteering opportunities that I did, which was very minimal, might I add, because I was very focused on getting good grades, right? And so I was just seeing one thing. I was putting all my eggs in one basket. And it wasn't until the pandemic that we went to shelter in place. People were dying left and right. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't think this is for me, right? Because I was also thinking like learning about this stuff and seeing this stuff is really cool in pictures, right? But I also kind of realized that I really don't like to touch people. I don't, and if you're a physician, you're gonna be touching a lot of people. And so like I don't mind, one of my love languages is physical touch, right? But I don't mind touching people who I love and who I know on a personal level, but just touching strangers in general is kind of like, oh, I don't like that. And so I feel like I would have learned that because I was planning to volunteer my third year in a hospital. I already had my volunteering opportunities lined up and interviews ready, but pandemic obviously, and so I had to put a hold on that. And so I think eventually I would have found out that I don't like to touch people, and I don't, as much as I love learning about this stuff, like I don't think I can really apply it to me personally in a real life aspect. And so yeah, and so that's what kind of made me pivot 180 and kind of reevaluate like what is it that you like to do anew. And so I do know that I sat down with myself and my thoughts and I said, you know what? I do like to learn, right? I think learning is so cool. I really love science. Um, and then I also really like to talk to people. And I also really like to help people, especially helping people and making sure that, I can be as accessible to them as I possibly can, in whatever way, shape, or form that they may need. And so I was kind of looking at that and I was like, okay, maybe I need to do something in education, right? Because I've had a lot of specifically powerful females or people or females in general who have played a really big impact in my college career and kind of helping me guide through like, oh, what do you like and not like, right? So specifically one of my college counselors, academic counselors, she was really helpful, right? And so I was like, oh, I kind of want to do something that she does, right? And so it hits all my points. I like to help people. I love talking to people, and I definitely love learning, right? So it hit all my points again. And so I was like, okay, let me become looking to become a college counselor, right? And so I applied to be a orientation leader. Because I've been wanting to be an orientation leader because I think they're just so awesome and their energy is like, oh my God, so amazing, right? But I also thought it was a great opportunity for me to explore counseling, right? Because I never previously I thought it was too much to do like a complete major change. Because what if I don't like it? Because I've already hit that, right? Like I was a bio major, and although I like it, but I'm not 100% passionate about it, right? At least what I was planning to do with my biology degree. So I didn't want to change major and then oh my God, like I don't like education as much as I thought I did, right? And so I got a job as an orientation leader and I loved it, but not really. And so I loved, interacting with students, working with a team, a wonderful team that is so amazing and passionate about what they do. And I love that whole dynamic. I realized that the freshman age is not my forte. And so, I'm really good at connecting with them, but it's kind of like what Katie said, like it's a lot of work to just, because I feel like they're still in that high school phase. They haven't really gotten to like that college phase where they're like, oh my God, like I have to figure things out for myself. And so kind of going back to our previous episode too, right? Like we were still very naive in what to expect for what's going to happen in college, right? And so I still feel like these incoming freshmen, they're in that boat, right? And so in working with these students, like they were asking the most repetitive questions, and nothing wrong with that, but it takes a toll on you to answer the same question like 30 times when what you could have done was also look at the previous questions. And so it definitely takes a toll on you. And I also kind of like Katie, like I realized like I cannot sit in a cubicle all day and do that 9 to 5. Like I will go insane. I'm not even joking, right? And so I need some form of going out there and seeing people and stuff like that, right? And so thankfully, this work experience, kind of opened my eyes. I don't want to be a college academic counselor. And now it's time for me to find a way to help students learn, continue my education, because I really do love learning, and looking for a new avenue that I can take that doesn't necessarily have to be just an academic counselor. I feel like one of the topics that or the discussions that you wanted to discuss too was like, why should you consider a career change? Considering a career change is really, really scary. I can only imagine how scary it is, because I just wanted to look at a different career opportunity, and I wasn't even in the career. Like it took me like a month just to kind of come to terms and be okay with possibly changing major, not even changing major, just possibly. So I can only imagine, how scary it is to consider a career change where you might have spent years and, maybe even 10 plus years of your life dedicating yourself to your work. And so I think when you should really start to look at if a career change is for me, right? Maybe start looking at, am I losing passion, right? Like for me, like I said, with my orientation leader job, like when I first started, I was like, oh, let's do this, right? But I was already like, by the end of the summer, I was already sick of it, right? And so if you start finding yourself not enjoying your job as much as you should have, like as you did at the beginning, maybe start reevaluating. Like maybe you just need to switch gears a little bit. Maybe not like a whole career change, but maybe just do something a little different, right? So maybe if you were in, maybe do something a little more creative with your job or something, right? Maybe another reason why you need a career change could be you need a little more money, right? Let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. It's okay to be wanting more for yourself, especially if you've dedicated your life to, a career. It's okay to want a promotion. It's okay to want a raise. And if you feel like your job is just keeping you stagnant, like definitely pursue something else that it's going to give you more freedom, and financial freedom for yourself. And so, those are just a few of the reasons why you should probably consider a career change. But I would like to reiterate that it is a scary thing to completely do a 180. And so I just want to let you know that it's okay, because you're not going to be the same person you were when you got your job at 20. You're not going to be the same person you were when you got your job at 30, right? You're going to grow. Like for me, like I grew within a matter of 4 years. And if it's okay if, you find no more passion, or you're not as, you know, you're not enjoying your job as much as you should be. And so definitely do what's best for you, and it's okay to do something a little different, right? Because the only thing that's going to be constant in life is change, right? And so yeah, definitely it's okay to grow, and it's okay to produce something different that you initially didn't think that you were probably going to do.
And to go deeper into our conversations, we will go ahead and go around and share with our listeners, to you guys, the careers that we plan to pursue and if they stem from any inspirations. I will go ahead and go first. So I have always known that I wanted to become my own boss. And I guess you could say that I am in pursuit of an entrepreneurial journey. Ever since I was a child, I had this desire to simply give back to my community. And not just that, but I realized early on that you have to work 10 times harder to just move up in a position. And also that not all company cultures values will align with my morals and my values of what I believe in. And those are just some of the reasons why I want to become my own boss. And I've mentioned this previously before in our other podcast episodes, but my experience at my high school, which was centered around entrepreneurship, indeed played a huge factor in the career that I plan to pursue. And slowly, as my transition of my journey going into college, I am becoming what I want to be. And I'm also manifesting those into my goals. And it just all takes like one step at a time. And I will become the best version of myself, of the person that I want to be.
As for me, I want to touch briefly upon what Anu mentioned earlier about saying it's okay for a career change, because that definitely happened to me. I came in knowing that I want to go into the psychology field, and I was like dead set of becoming a therapist. I was like, yes, I could stay in the room all day. I could listen to people's story. Like I want to help them. That's what I'm there for to do, right? But then with the pandemic here, things started to change and I started shifting my career goal. And I feel like I feel like at the back of the mind, unconsciously, I knew that I don't think I'm fit as a role as a therapist. But then like I had that mindset where like I don't want to change anything. I'm already in my third year. I'm just gonna stick to my career goal and keep on doing what I'm here to do. But then with the pandemic, it really made me to reevaluate like where my passion lies, right? And that really got to stem from like in our I think previous episodes I did briefly talked about my younger sister who have autism. I think she is my biggest inspiration, really, really though, because like I said, right, we talk about mental health in the Asian American community, and a lot of the times, not only in the Asian American community, but I'm pretty sure in other like minority, their community as well, they don't really know what autism, or not just autism, but other kind of special disabilities are out there. So really like my parents, they didn't know what it was or what it is, and they didn't know anything about it. So I really had to be that fit into that bigger like sister role model where I kind of educate myself. Like I knew what autism was, right? But then I didn't really delve into deeper like the spectrum and what sort of what my sister was going through, especially not just academic wise, but then I really thought about how that's going to impact her identity, right? Like growing up and going to traditional school, how that's really going to affect her life, because having autism, it's not something that's going to go away. It's a part of her identity, right? So then that really made me reflect on myself saying like, oh, I don't think I could become a therapist. And already doing this stuff for my sister, I realized that it's not really a chore because most of the time, right? Like I do babysit a lot of times and I feel like sometimes it's like a chore, but then helping my sister, something sparked in me. Like I realized that it's not a chore. Like it really made me feel like I could make a difference in a person's life, right? Like I didn't see her as my sister only, but I really thought like I could change her life. I could really help her. And that's when I started to realize, oh, I want to go into the social work field because they deal a lot with families that are from different walks of life and different cultures. And being honest, like I feel like being a therapist, you're only set with the very tiny population. So if I work in like maybe you could say, for example, a higher end population, then I'm only going to see a certain race or a certain ethnicity. And that's not what I want to do. Like I want to help the whole community as a whole. So then I realized like I think I want to go into the social work field, especially my sister, she has a science social worker too. And her social worker, just to disclose information, we're actually the first Asian family that she helped. So, and she's been nothing but an amazing social worker. Like she really tried to understand where we're coming from. And like, especially my parents don't know what autism is. Like she gave us the resource that we need. And she's super helpful. And that's what I want to do. Like just learn about other culture and then give them the resources that they need. So like I said, my younger sister, she was a big inspiration for me.
Okay, once again, totally not tearing up or anything over here. um, but yeah, for me, I still don't know what the heck I want to do, honestly. I do know that, and it's okay. It's okay that I don't know what I want to do. Just putting that out there. Mainly for myself, but still, I do know that, I have a better understanding of what my strengths are, which is definitely really good. And I kind of, I definitely have a better understanding of what my passions are. So with my strengths and my passions and kind of knowing more about myself, even though I don't know specifically what it is that I want to do, I do know that I want to help students pursue higher education, specifically first generation students who don't know what the heck is going on, right? And are pursuing higher education in hopes of bettering themselves and their lives, right? And so I do know that I want to work with helping these specifically Southeast Asians and even more specifically Hmong, right? Because we're lacking. We don't have very high education higher college graduates. We're basically majority of our population is in poverty, right? And so I want to be able to help my community pursue higher education in hopes that it opens up their eyes to the possibilities that the possibilities are endless, right? And so yeah, so even though I don't know specifically like a specific job title that I want to do, I do know that I want to come back and help the community to provide those who are fighting for that opportunity to succeed in whatever they're doing. That was my little tidbit. And so I'd like to thank, you and Katie for sharing. I feel like now it's time to wrap up our conversation. And I do know that we threw a lot at you all. And so just to kind of some bullet points so you can take something away and not have to re-listen to our whole podcast again. The first is to consider your strengths, your passions, and your talent. And just do remember that just because you're good at something, that doesn't necessarily, or just because you're good at something, you might not be passionate about it. And just really like kind of think about like, what am I good at and what am I passionate about? And if I am good and what can I add that, or here, what am I good at and what am I passionate about, right? And so can I combine the two to do something that is even more amazing than what I initially could have done? And the next is to test it out, because you will never know if you truly like something until you actually try it. Kind of like what Katie said multiple times, and me too, right? Like we have this idea and this visualization of what we thought it was going to be, but when we actually did it, it was the complete opposite. And so definitely try it out, because that'll definitely give you it'll give you a better understanding of what that career field is actually like. Next is to be okay with not knowing what you're going to do in the next 5 to 10 years, because like we said, you're going to grow as a person, and it's okay to not have the next 10 years of your life planned out, because things are going to change. We didn't know the pandemic was going to happen. We didn't know, maybe you have a financial crisis and you're saving up for, your car or your dream job or your business, right? And it's definitely okay to not know where the next 5 to 10 years of your life is going to be headed. And just kind of like the opposite of that, it's okay to do a career change, right? Even though you have spent the last 5 to 10 years of your life, or maybe even 20 or 30 years of your life doing something, it's okay to do something different because you're going to get worn out. Burnout is real, y'all. And so it's okay to do something different because you've grown as a person. You've had life experiences that are going to affect you, and it's okay to do something different. I said it's okay a lot, but I'm just really trying to put it in there. It's okay, right? We're fine, even though we don't know exactly what we're going to do or what life has for in store for us. It's okay.
Yes, completely agree with everything Anu mentioned. She hits all the points. And now that we come to the end, we can't wait to chat with everyone else in the next episode. So make sure to feel free to check us out on Instagram at White Eyes Podcast.